everyone, welcome back to another exciting episode of Attack Productions. Today, Bankrupt joins game by both Jake and Adam as we do today's matchup, which is, surprising enough, we have Gotenks returning, taking on Android 17 and 18 from the newest set, 23. And like always, there's buttons down below. Feel free to click there for a reason. But guys, let's get into it. What's going on?
What's going on, y'all?
Hey, everyone.
So, I know, Jake, you mentioned, because we did actually play a Fusion World game earlier. And you're like, yeah, I'm just playing green today. I'm like, green, what in the world? And I'm like, oh, he brought back King Cole. I don't know what he would have done. But then I looked over and saw Gotenks. I'm like, oh, I like this.
Yeah, I feel like it's in an okay position. And I was just messing around with it, just like building it the night before. And, well, I didn't really find everything I was looking for as far as, like putting the list together, but I think that there's a lot of really fun pieces to play with in here, just even outside of the Gotenks line. And, it's just a fun list in general.
Yeah. And I know outside of me, Adam, you've been the other person I think that's been kind of interested in playing the 17, 18. I think Chase at our locals has a deck build, but I think you're the one person who actually brought it to the shop. What did you think about it?
Yeah, this was my first game of the first night that I'm playing this deck. So both of these decks have multiple cards with walls of text. So it's going to take us a little while to kind of read through some of these. But, I really like the characters. As you guys know, I really like archetypes as well. So it played out pretty well for me. I got pretty lucky most of the night finding the cards that I needed, and this deck filters so well.
This deck filters very well, especially if I recall correctly, it's been a bit since I've gone over this deck. There is the Z battle card, Android 20, that when it's KO'd, I think it pulls cards from your deck, right?
It pulls a card from underneath the destroyed West City, but...
Okay.
Yeah, there's two sets of cards, both 17 and 18, that when you place them under the destroyed West City, it lets you find another, twin. So it's just, most of the night I was almost decking out. I probably had anywhere between 10 and 15 cards left in my deck by the end of the game all night.
Yeah. And now that we're going into turn 2, we both know that both these decks either can be potentially aggro or, in Jake's case, very powerful. Because like Jake can start playing the 6-drops, which are like 30k double strikes. I think they're double strikes. It's been a bit since I played.
No, they're dual 25 dual attacks.
That's what it is. Yeah.
You draw 2 cards and blow up a card when it comes into play. So
like
they're just huge.
Yeah, you have like tall, powerful cards, and Adam can potentially kind of go big card into smaller cards, kind of giving that aggro feel. But Jake, you're playing green. You have Unisys in your deck. We obviously know you're playing one of green's most infamous negates, Dormant Potential. And set 23 brought us a new negate for red. So I want to kind of bring this conversation up in this particular matchup because it's green on red. It is Explosive Dance versus Dormant Potential. How'd you guys feel about this?
I'll let you go, Jake.
I think that at the time, playing against Explosive Dance felt really, really punishing. I think ultimately it does require a Z extra card in play, where Dormant doesn't require a Unison, right? You can still hard cast it. You do have to cast Explosive Dance. Like, I think the floodgates are similarly powerful. But I think that Excel Dance requires you to include cards in your deck you otherwise might not want to. Just like big 30Ks that combo for 0-5, just so you could like load your Z energy with really strong targets. So you can actually like make attacks. But it's an incredibly frustrating card to play against when you don't have like setup for it.
Like when I talked to Jimmy about it when it first kind of came out, Jimmy mentioned jokingly that like explosive dance wouldn't really affect me as much, where I like playing archetype builds. And typically, when you look at archetype builds, cards are roughly the same power, so it's kind of a 1-to-1 ratio. But like in your case, you're playing Gotenks. Your fusion pieces are 15k. Your big bodies are 25k. You can only Z charge one card normally, unless you're playing the U7 deck. So, like for someone like you who's trying to swing with 25k, you have to get rid of 2 Z extra cards at a time for that to go through. Now, granted, like you mentioned, similar effects in Adam's situation, when he gets hit with Dormant, you do have to pitch a card though. So that's kind of like your secondary cost, where he has to have a Z extra card on board, you have to pitch a card. But then Adam's like, cool, I can just play 2 really powerful cards and still attack with, or I guess get 1 attack out and then play 1 additional powerful card and doesn't have to do any actual cost. So he can kind of, you know what? I'm gonna play this 1 card, gives 1 more attack out, and then I could just keep the rest of my resources for another turn, you know? Or for you, you have to burn resources, put them into your Z energy, just so you can make more attacks. And like you said, the strategy you could do, yeah, have your sideboard have like 6 cards in it that are 30k, 5k combos, just so you can get rid of them. Then they kind of take up that deck space. Is that worth it?
Yeah. I mean, I think in this list, probably not, because you are including so many like fusion pieces and things like that. And I also like was really surprised that explosive dance like doesn't require a discard component like most floodgates in the game like traditionally have, like topo, nimbus, dormant, things like that. So it is a really sneaky way to drain your opponent's resources, because they do have to like prepare for it. And I think that the main difference between the two would be that having the Z extra card in play kind of allows you to get value, where dormant, you're just straight up negging a card to instantiate your floodgate. So
and there's no way to remove that ZX card. Like once your opponent establishes it, in most cases, it is staying there.
yeah, you can remove a unison to make dormant potentially uncastable, like if your opponent has no energy up, but can't really remove a Z extra card very easily. That's true.
I will say that, and I'm probably wrong, but I think that for this current meta with U7 being where it's at, this card is more significant in that meta. I think that when yellow U7 starts to kind of fade away, I don't know that this is going to be as powerful of a negate as people are putting it out to be.
I think it'll be stronger.
Yeah.
So
yeah, because U7's the only deck that can put multiple cards into the Z deck each combo step, right? Or to the Z energy each combo step, right? And every other deck can only do 1. So
yeah. And it's so cheap. I mean, there's, the anniversary box gave everybody, 1/1 Z extra card, so it's not tough to get something out there by turn 2.
Yeah.
That is true. Like every deck can't play it, because some decks just don't benefit at all from a Z extra. The ones that can have a really powerful floodgate on their hands, but personally, I don't enjoy the card, but I don't think it's the most broken thing that's ever been printed. I think it's just another in a long list of broken things.
It's just a new dormant, really. Like when that's when that was that era of like, oh my god, you're playing green, so it's just dormant every turn. Like I played a red deck this weekend as well, and there were some matchups where I literally dormant 3 times in a row. Sorry, not dormant. Explosive dance 3 times in a row, and it got to a point where my opponent's like, I can't do anything because I can't get attacks off, and I'm like, sorry.
The point of the card.
So, pivoting from the dormant potential and explosive dance conversation, where are you guys at in the matchup currently? We've seen Adam kind of build the board up, and then Jake, you kind of just completely wiped it out. You both are on turn 3 now, and yes, explosive dance is now potentially active.
Yeah, I will say that I kind of started to get used to the way that the mechanics work in the Android 1718 deck. And I found myself, it was a little bit difficult for me to kind of figure out how the heck am I supposed to get these androids out to start off with to kind of begin this chain. But I did also notice that I was having a little bit of trouble with cards with barrier. None of these red cards neg cards with barrier. So I may look at something to kind of fix that for me. But this was, if you guys have seen any of my matches, I don't usually play red because I'm not typically an aggressive player. But this one can go hard fast. As soon as you hit that third or fourth turn, you're able to play multiple 17 and 18s out every single turn.
I mean, your turn 4 strategy, if I recall correctly, is play the 8 drop. No, you played what, the two drops, then you go into the 8 drop, then you split them back into the 2/2s. Is that how it works? It's been a bit since I've looked at the deck and stuff. It's somehow you get both 8 drops out at the same time.
Yeah, there's on the Excel dance, which is underneath the destroyed West City. I'm able to play that big eight drop Android 17 and 18, but I'm also able to play out the 6 cost for I think it's for 2. Or no, yeah, for 1, I'm able to play the 6 drop. So usually the 6 drop followed by the 8 drop, then the Excel dance. So I'm able to get probably anywhere from 6 to 7 swings. Some of them are double strike, some of them are crit.
Yeah.
It's pretty heavy. But then again, those cards are pretty squishy. They don't have any protection really. So if you're playing against something like a green deck or something like a blue deck that puts stuff back into your hand, that could be pretty devastating.
Yeah, this game was really back and forth where there's a lot of I play a guy, swing with it, and then you neg it out, and then play a guy, swing with it, and I blow it up. And then it just goes back and forth and back and forth.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a lot of fun actually. Gotenks is always really scary to me because just like my deck, it can get pretty out of hand pretty quick for very little energy investment.
The 1/2 combo here.
Yeah.
Such
Yeah.
a good green combo. It is 3 energy of value, but you get 3 attacks, 2 of them being crit. I think Piccolo's crit, and your opponent has to. Oh, but you got. Oh, never mind.
Piccolo's not crit, but he rips a card out of your opponent's hand and he's a dual attack each time he attacks. So that's really good. And then the Goku, removes something ignoring barrier, and then he's barrier himself and has double strike. So
Yeah.
really potent combo for green, and one of the reasons I wanted to play the deck. And as you saw, I got to recycle a super combo out of my Z deck as well.
It is one of the best things about that Goku is putting a super combo back into your deck. He did negate. Piccolo should be restanding, if I recall correctly, because that was only your first attack.
Yeah, I think we catch it.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah. And I don't think we touch base. Explosive Dance is for non-leader attacks. So even the unisons, you have to rip cards from the Z energy.
Yeah, really, really strong card in general.
There is it's currently in your warp right now because you removed it, but that Goku and Trunks from Goten and Trunks from the anniversary, like what, 2 years ago, does help you a little bit against that because you could. I think it goes. You could send it from your drop to your Z energy. I think it is, but I think you have to switch a card out though. It's been a while. Playing Gotenks.
Now, the one that's in my warp right now,
Yeah.
there's one that I put in my hand earlier that has some Z energy interaction, but the one that's in my warp right now is
the old one. Yeah, I remember now.
Yeah, the old one.
Which is one of the key things about the deck before I think we got the revamped version of it.
Yeah.
Now we got the Z battle card Android 20 on the board. Which, yeah, this is the one where it's the leader's ability to pop it to play a card from underneath the field, or not field, but the Z extra. And then when he's popped, he also plays one, right? That's how you get both of them out initially for free, which is amazing.
Yeah, one from the hand and then one from under the destroyed West City.
Do you play as a 2 or 3 up in your Z deck?
I think it's your energy cost or how much energy you have.
Sorry.
2 or less.
Do you play the Android 20 Z battle card at a 2 or 3 of?
2. Just 2 for now.
Yeah, I think you have to have 4 energy for it to work, right? So I don't know. I'm not sure if that's correct or not.
Yeah,
What's
I've got 4 energy, so it allows me to play any of my 17 or 18s that are four costs or
That's
less.
what it was. That's what it
Yeah.
was. Okay. Yeah, yeah.
There's sneaky wording. I'm sure that you guys have seen it already, but on both of those 17 and 18s that I have in play right now, they basically play only if they don't have keyword
keyword skill?
skills,
Yep.
but they get keyword skills when they're played. So it's kind of sneaky.
And it doesn't specify where they're played from. So obviously from hand, or in this case, from underneath the destroyed West City. Yeah, that's what makes it so good, because I think even the, because those are the 2 drops. I don't remember if the 3 drops are the same way. If you can enlighten us, Adam, on that one.
So those ones that I just put under the 6 cost, those are the 3 drops. Those are the ones that get keyword skills. The 2 drops really are meant to be placed underneath the Z extra and then find their partner and put it underneath the Z extra as well. And they're basically just absorption fodder for the bigger cards.
Yeah, I love Jake's tokens, by the way.
Yeah, a little homebrew token there.
I was so lucky in this game to find as many explosive dances as I did.
Well, like you mentioned earlier, one of the key things about the Android 17 18 deck is that when the card is moved, it fetches the other card. So like one action is pulling a card from your deck, and as long as you're constantly doing that, you're just thinning the deck out. That way, the cards you're drawing into are cards you want to see.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the 20s, I wasn't too keen on the Android 20s to begin with, but I really like the Android 20 that draws me a card because I get to play it for free if I don't have a battle card in play. The other one is similar, but it allows me to look at the top 5 cards of my deck for an Android cost 6 or less. And then also the Z Extra card allows me to look at the top 7 cards and put one Android 17 or 18 under Destroyed West City. So I probably will up that Android 20 to 3 in my Z deck. I'll probably also up a couple of the 20s in my deck because I think that I run a 3-3 split right now. And I might increase that by 1 and maybe take some of the Android 16s out.
Now I know it's been a bit, Jake, and you're kind of stuck in a situation where if you want to get attacks outside the leader, you have to pitch cards. But the Z Awaken on this card, is it 3Z energy?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, does a Z leader, does he have double strike? Like, it's been a bit.
I I'm not sure off the top of my head, actually. I think there's a way to gain it, but like I said, I haven't played this deck in a long time. He said this is his first game with this deck ever. This is my first game with this deck in a long time.
I wanted to mention real quick. I did try to play that Android 20, but I remembered that I had that token in play, which does count as a battle card. So I had to wait until either I could combo it or have it popped before I could do that 20.
Here we're going into the 8 drop we talked about earlier. Which, oh yeah, it next card by 30 or something, 20 or 30.
By 30, this one does, yeah.
And that's on play, I think, right? Just naturally on play.
When it attacks
When
is
it,
when it's supposed to be, yeah.
yeah.
I think that I did it on play, but yeah. The good old now ruling question on this: if I am playing 2 battle cards at the same time, does that freeze up pop both of them,
No.
or is it either or? Okay.
So Frieza specifies that you choose a target. So what happens is that your cards come to play. So he counterplays, his hits the board first. His auto goes into pending. Your cards hit. Since your turn player, your autos go off and his autos are off, and he picks one of your cards. Now, if it was like he's playing green, focus breakthrough, it would hit both those cards. I think yes, it will, because the way it's phrased, cards coming into play.
So I was surprisingly calm at this point in time. I know that, like I've said ad nauseum, that Gotenks can get pretty aggressive pretty quickly on very little energy, but um, I felt like I was in a better place here than I was expecting to be for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I felt like I had a lot of moves here, but our hand size differential was kind of worrying me. And then the fact that I whiffed off of this surge means that I'm going to have to take a different line than I initially wanted to.
That's rough.
So, yeah, it's just going to be a little bit different, but I'm going to be able to do like the thing I wanted to do.
Look, in any other situation, like a set ago, this right here is a deadly board to look at. And you
Absolutely.
just made it even more impressive. Now, I know he has a blocker on board, but I guess yeah, it makes sense. You're trying to get rid of cards from his hand. So I was like, you could have swung with the Goku first, but you're right. He could have explosive dance, and then your attack with Cell wouldn't have worked. But in this case,
Yeah,
you're able
there's
to do
no
it.
way.
But he had one still.
I used my powers of suggestion to have him not choose the one explosion dance I had.
I think I got one out of your hand there, but
Probably.
well, I'm sure I got one because you cast it, so it's out of your hand now.
And we're in a situation now where I think after this attack, you could attack with a Piccolo if you wanted to, or your Unison, but you want to attack with Cell, and you can't get that hit out.
Yeah, at this point, I'm just trying to rip as many cards from his hand as I can, and unfortunately, he's still got enough juice to
Yeah.
continue.
So I feel like at this point, it's on the wall. We see it happening. You have one open energy, but you've mentioned a lot of times the difference here. I think now it's about even actually.
Yeah,
Um,
now it is, but going into that turn, it was like maybe 6 or 7 cards
yeah.
on 10 or 11.
Well, guys, he played a freaking Cell Xeno on me, okay?
Yeah.
I was able to last until turn 5 against Gotenks. Like, it usually doesn't go this long, but it really felt like it was a pretty good match back and forth. I
Oh,
think
for
both decks
sure.
kind of got to do what they wanted to do, and it was just a lot of just luck of the pulls. I just happened to be able to pull more from my deck than you were able to.
Oh, yeah.
And Jake, you're taking your own life in this situation.
Yeah.
Like a gentleman.
With that being said, take our opportunity. Keep minding his buttons, links, check them out. Bye.